Hey guys, it's Dr. Conklin. I'm here to do a video reviewing some basic proofs with you, and we have some country music in the background. Some of my 5th period students are very into country, so feel free to send in requests. We're on page 36 today, and we're going to do some more, like we would sort of call like basic proofs to get you guys started. And today we're going to ask you to write these along with us. So number 1, remember our first strategy is to mark up our picture. So VC is congruent to DB, and VB is congruent to DC. So if we look at this picture, we can start by doing our statements and reasons. Okay, so I'm going to first write my givens. And our reason given. So one strategy here is to sort of mark these up. We have an S and an S. So I think you guys have seen me do this checklist a few times. I'm going to write my checklist out of the 4 ways to show triangles are congruent. So what can we eliminate right off the bat, guys? Well, if we have 2 sides, we know it can't be these 2 guys, right? Angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. So where are we going to find our 3rd piece? And I think this is an important thing, and I know Mr. Fields has talked about in videos. We are not going to give you something you can't prove. If we ask you to do a 2-column proof and give you some givens, there's some way to show they're congruent. So this problem here, if I look here, BC is right in the middle. And we can see that BC is actually in both, oops, sorry guys, is in this top triangle here, as well as this bottom triangle. So if you guys remember, that's going to be our friend, the reflexive property. Okay, so that's another side, which means we know these triangles are congruent because of SSS, right? We have no angles. Okay? All right, then let's look at, these are sort of the go-to ways to show triangles are congruent. This here, reflexive property, is one of the first things you should look for. Another thing you should look for, we're going to look at the next one. So this is actually one of these bow tie triangles. So let's mark up what we know. Angle B is congruent to angle D. BC is congruent to DC. Okay, so we'll do our statements and our reasons. And our little 2 columns, right? Okay, so let's write our givens in. Okay, so now how are we going to show these triangles are congruent? Well, let's try to think, what do we need here? We have our 4 ways to show triangles are congruent. Okay, so let's see, we have an angle and a side. So far we can actually only eliminate the first choice, right? Side, angle, side. What else do we know? If we have this bow tie picture, let me zoom in. We actually know, I'm going to put a little 1 here, a little 2 here. Those are some of our bestest friends in proofs. Vertical angles, which are always congruent. So vertical angles are congruent angles. Okay, so now let me zoom in again. If we know these are congruent, sorry guys, it's not my best swooping job, hold on. 1, 2. There we go. Much better. Okay, so let's highlight our angles. Oh, actually, what can we eliminate? 2 guys, right? We have 2 angles. So we have another angle here. So I'm going to get rid of SAS, right? So let's look here. Here are our congruent angles. I'm going to color them all in yellow. And then let's also color in this side. So we notice that the angles that are congruent are all touching the congruent side. So that's going to be angle, side angle. Okay, so our last statement. Now notice, guys, this is a nice trick. I'm literally just going to copy the proof statement because all the letters are already in order. You can take a second to double check too, right? A matches with E. Yep, A goes with E. C goes with C. That makes sense, right? C goes with C. And then B goes with D. Here's B and here's D. So it's sort of nice. You can just sort of rewrite the proof statement. And we said that was angle, side angle. Okay, so for homework tonight, you guys do have some questions. I'll post it, but it's on this page here. We're going to sort of zoom by it right now, page 37. And I'm going to actually have us go to page 39, number 10. So if I look at this one, this is a little bit harder, and we're going to focus on here what a midpoint is. Okay, so what's sneaky about this question is we're not given anything. We got to figure it out ourselves. But you know what? We can do this, guys. Statement and reason. Okay, so we're going to start. T is the midpoint of ME. And T is also the midpoint of GJ. That's our given, right? Our given for both. Oops, I forgot to mark the picture up. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's mark the picture if I still have time. If T is the midpoint of M to E, that means it's cutting it in half. So this segment's congruent to this segment, but we're also told T is the midpoint of what else? J to E, J to G. So if T is in the middle of that guy, now be careful here. Notice I'm going to put 2 swipes here, 2 swipes here. Okay, so actually, this is going to be sort of we're getting into like harder proofs now, not just 3-4 step. This is going to be a 6-step proof. We got it. So GT, that's right here, is congruent to JT. Notice I'm starting at G and going in, starting at J and going in. All right, and what's the reason for that? Well, we know a midpoint does what, guys? A midpoint gives us 2 congruent segments, okay? And while we're at it, let's do the same thing here. We have, oh, hold on, I need the color. You guys know I love the colors. Here's M to T, right? So M to T is congruent to E to T. Okay, and remember that little sneaky trick we learned where you go like this? Okay, so now we have an S and an S. Yay! So what can we eliminate if we're doing our checklist? I wonder if I can just copy and paste. Oh, you know what? I was going to copy and paste it. Guys, I'm no Mr. Fields here. I don't have all these sneaky iPad tricks yet. I should by now, but I'm working on it. Okay, so let's eliminate what we can. We have an S and an S. So I'm going to get rid of these 2 guys down here. Now, we already talked about this. Look at this picture. It's a bow tie, right? Right here's like a bow tie that you wear, which means you always have vertical angles. So I'm going to put a 1 in here and a 2 in here. And those angles we know are going to be congruent because they're vertical. Ellos son verticales. They are vertical. Vertical angles give us congruent angles. And then if we look at our picture, let me get rid of some of the colors here. You guys know I go crazy with the colors, right? We have a side, an angle, and a side. So we have an included side, and actually if you get rid of this, that's all you're really left with, right? So siding, oh wait, hold on, what did I forget? Oh, okay, I think I just moved this. Just move this guy down. And then remember our sort of sneaky trick, I'm gonna copy triangle MGT, right, for my proof statement. is congruent to triangle EJT, and the reason for that is side angle side. Okay, last one we're going to do today, my loves. So midpoint we talked about, bisect. Oh my gosh, Dr. Conklin, how could you? There's nothing given here. How are we going to get this? Oh, we're going to get it, guys. So first things first, always look for two things when you start a proof, now that we've done a couple. Always keep your eyes peeled for two of our best friends. Now, my best friend, I already told you guys, is Beyonce, but your best friend in proofs is going to be what? 1, vertical angles like we just did. 2, reflexive. If you have those are going to help you a lot. So look at this. Do you guys see here, before I even start, you see how BD is shared in both sides, or both parts of the triangles? That's good news. So we have statements and reasons. Okay, so I'm going to write my reasons, even though they're not going to like help us too much yet. All right, and that's our given. Okay, so now what are we going to do here? If we have the word bisect, just like we had midpoint in the last problem, if we have the word bisect, that tells us we're doing something. We're going to get something from that. We're bisecting an angle. So I'm going to look at angle ADC. If I'm bisecting that angle, I'm cutting it in half. I'm going to put a little 1 here, a little 2 here. Angle 1 has to be congruent to angle 2 because an angle bisector gives us 2 congruent angles. But we don't just have bisect once, so I sort of like use this to help me. Now let's look here. I'm going to do the same thing. BD bisects ABC. So here's ABC. I'm going to put a little 3 and a 4 in here. So same thing. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. And I'm going to do my little do-do trick. Okay, now let me just look at this for a second. Make sure I marked up my picture a little nicer for you guys. We notice that we have 2 angles, and there should be like alarm bells going off in your head, because we can't just show triangles are congruent with an angle. We need to have a side somewhere, but there's no information about sides. Enter our best friend reflexive property. This side has to be congruent to itself. So we're going to say BD is congruent to BD because of reflexive. Okay, and then our last reason, my friends. Now, what do we have? We have an angle, and a side. But don't follow this order. Look at your picture. These are our congruent angles here. Let me get a different color. This is our congruent angle up here, and they're down here. And then we had our yellow before. We'll stick with that. Are all those angles touching that congruent side? Yeah. So if you read it around, it's almost like angle, side, angle, right? So that's our reason. Again, I'm going to look back at my proof. Triangle DAB is congruent to triangle DCB because angle, side, angle. All right, guys, awesome job today. I'm going to give you a few to work on, but we got this, okay? Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We're glad to be back with you guys, and we are just an email away or whatever you need, so let us know how we can help. Have a super day. Be good. Bye.